Okay, I am back. Had to get everything set up once more. I was fiddling around with a lot of stuff, trying to get this mic to work properly, not be so staticky, get everything set up actually. All right. We are here with yet another drama video, of course. And this drama video is They Just Lost Everything. Is it the Sun Orbiters? I believe it is. It's by Mort Pegasus, and that's been his primary go-to for a while. So let's see what's going on.
Latest series in the history of the universe. In today's video, Ethan has called out iDubbbz and Anissa once again. iDubbbz has responded. Denims, also known as Female Hassan, has embarrassed herself again, trying to defend the rank #1 simp Mike from PA. Massive updates to Ethan's lawsuit and a situation with the Reddit mods. Subscribe for this glass of milk, quite refreshing. Encore by Jellywig.
Let's up those numbers!
Now let's begin with Ethan calling out iDubbbz and Anissa. Here we got a tweet. Ethan takes shots at Ian and Anissa, expects them to eventually get divorced. So we got this Reddit post from Ace Racery Productions.
Oh, we're doing
iDubbbz wouldn't
iDubbbz.
even post a tweet
I forgot all about him.
child marriage in the state of Washington. Something that Kate, the immigrant wife of his boxing coach, was sold into and was working to help pass legislation against. Helping immigrants? Virtue signaling over helping immigrants. The classic iDubbbz strategy. So Ethan responds, Ian and Anissa are spineless, basement-dwelling losers. You know, that statement might be factually correct considering they literally are in a basement. The sheer poverty of their combined talent and charisma makes Hassan look like MLK. In every perceivable way, they are pathetic. No talent, no ideas, no motivation, no drive, no money, no bitches. Love and partnership are supposed to strengthen bonds and improve outlook, but they're like two black holes of self-loathing.
Maybe they chose the wrong side?
Caught in each other's orbit. And as those black holes spiral closer, the outcomes becomes inevitable. A supernova. They won't last.
All right. After looking into iDubbbz and looking into all the things, because he disappeared off the radar. I didn't even know he was still around. I completely forgot who he was. And then I remembered he was the content cop. That's what he did. But then suddenly he met this girl called Anissa. And apparently she dragged him down a road of, well, the extreme left. And he fell apart after that. iDubbbz's entire career went up in smoke because he kept virtue signaling and doing a lot of stuff that he shouldn't have been doing. And well, he my guess is he was probably just wanting not to be alone, but he paid the price for that. I mean, I'm going to be honest, dudes. It's just better to be single these days. Too many cheaters, too many other issues, and way too many just anxiety. Who wants the anxiety of a relationship like that? And the whole 6-pack, 6 figures, 6 foot tall, barely the 1% of the male population that women want. And half these men who do have that aren't even interested in any women. And it's not that they've not attracted or they're not hetero. It's just they're not stupid because they know what's going to happen. Me Too movement, female empowerment, lying to authorities just to get them arrested. I mean, I just saw a video. Put it like this. I just saw a video with a situation where where a mother and her son, both were African American, recorded 2 women trying to assault her son. And all he did was just dodge them. That's it. They were both drunk. Apparently he got in their way when they were walking. He actually bumped into them. And after that, they proceeded to go after him. So because he wasn't letting them hit him, he kept dodging them. And then the cops show up. The girls are still chasing him, trying to hit him while the mom's recording. And she's laughing her head off because her son's just dodging every one of both of them because they're both drunk. Both those women are drunk. and dodges them all, comes back, with the cops present, and is still trying to hit the kid. And the cops arrest the two ladies, and the ladies are screaming at the top of their lungs, he's the one who did it. He's the one who did it. He pushed us. He assaulted us. We were just trying to protect ourselves. The cops were right there watching practically the whole thing when they were going after him, when they started it. It's things like this.
Oh my god. Ethan Klein should write a book. This shit is so elegant, bro. And I just love how everybody is using the orbiter and space language. I don't know if that's my fault, but I'll take credit. Why not, you know? They will eventually be divorced, and in the cosmic wreckage of that explosion, they'll be left with one thing to show for it all. The friendships, the time, the energy, the life wasted. Dust. Oh my god. The absolute ultimate revenge arc by Ethan is going crazy, bro. Now you just have to call Anissa a soul-sucking dementor from Harry Potter, and then we will have completed the cycle of Pegasus references. But honestly, their downfall needs to be studied, man. It is actually insane. I feel like the divorce arc is going to go crazy. Imagine the content, bro. I'm telling you, a twit longer or something is coming. I don't know when. Maybe in a week, maybe in a month, maybe in a couple years, but it is coming. People responded, he's destitute, he's poor. Divorce seems inevitable. We should start a pool on Polymarket. Ethan gotta chill. I feel like that stage is far gone at this point. This is a man who sees only blood, all right? Anyways, apparently iDubbbz responded. Well, it's sort of a non-response.
So what's the plan with Ethan Klein? The rule, just so you guys are aware, is like, we just don't give it any attention, you know? Like, I really want to make my own shit. It's kind of one of the, I think, reasons I stopped making as much drama content is because I personally didn't want to feel super reliant on it. And I think there's a place for it for sure, but it's like, it's very easy to get roped into it and have that be your entire fucking brain. And it's just not good for anyone. I mean, take it in, you know, bits and pieces maybe, but yeah, I'm fine with just not.
Dude, there's no way this guy's talking about don't give it attention. You started it with your whole content cop. I mean, clearly you just can't take the heat anymore, but he was perfectly fine doing this to Ethan, right? A 7 million view video trying to ruin his career and basically ruin his life, even justifying the CPS call on his kids as well.
You completely wiped your brain of what happened during the CPS stream. That's not my fucking fault. That's no one else's fault but yours.
And now he's like, well, actually, I'm over.
Okay, I want to be clear about something. Ethan's had his fair share of controversies. One time when his entire fan base attacked him, that's happened. He's had multiple instances where he's called someone something he shouldn't have, and he's gotten attacked by that community. He's been doxxed. He's been swatted. Almost swatted, not completely. From what I understand, swatting happened, but it didn't. I don't know the full details, but Ethan's had his fair share of issues because of takes he's had. So he's not completely blameless when it comes to some of the things that's happened to him. But you draw the line in the sand when it comes to his family and kids. If you are so petty and so pathetic that you have to literally send a skull to his house, threaten CPS on his kids, on him to have his kids taken away, and then threaten his kids' existence by threatening to take them out, you don't deserve to be anywhere in this world. That's my opinion on that, because that's just disgusting. People that think that they can say that kind of stuff, threaten it, and then try to make it happen.
The drama, guys. Like, you're the one who started this shit. Also, it's not like he still hasn't been partaking in it. Even in his latest video, towards the end of it, he put the GoFundMes of Caseytron, Denims, and Frogan, and he's obviously trying to get himself involved again, you know, supporting their cause as well, still doubling down over and over and over again.
I really believe in their cases that just because you're fucking rich and powerful doesn't mean that you can bully people on the internet. Doesn't.
But Denim, Frogan, and of course Caseytron are all notorious for the leave the chair when one of Ethan's videos are playing and walking away, and they deny him that viewership, which should have been his ad revenue. That is damage to his business. They know this, and they thought they could get away with it. Ethan's going full semi-automatic and not backing down.
Mean you can bully women, minorities.
This is like the actions of a broken and pathetic man. And I don't know if he's acting out of his own volition here, or Anissa is behind the camera, obviously given those instructions, puppet mastering the whole thing. It's kind of hard to tell at this point. Now, somebody pointed out the hypocrisy. I thought he blew up Creator Clash so he could roll around in the pig shit.
I mean, ultimately, I think it's a good thing, because I think I am meant to roll around in shit. I think me and Ethan are both meant to be rolling around in pig shit all day long, and other people are meant to do boxing or debating or whatever else. Ethan and me, pig shit rolling around type of fella.
Right, so you were perfectly fine getting into drama as long as you were on the winning side, or at least you thought you were. And when you had the backing of Hassan and his whole group squad there, and you thought you were unbeatable. But when the audience turned on you, suddenly, I don't like drama, guys. I'm actually above that content. You know, it's all toxic, it's so bad. Yeah, I mean, obviously you think that way when you got exposed for being a massive scumbag secretly taking from charity. And it was after this somebody brings it up in chat again, and he responds saying, please don't talk about Ethan, guys. We're kind of over that right now.
Yeah, you're allowed to ask, but the rule, KP Jackboy, is that we don't really talk about drama in the stream. I just want to fucking focus on this shit. I've said my piece on anything like H3 related, so, you know. If you want to know my opinion, hey, I made a video about it.
Wait, is he referring to the original video? There's no way he still stands by his video, even after basically everybody explained to him how he was completely wrong. This guy legitimately saw how the entire situation went down on the internet, and here he is still like double, triple, at this point like quadruple downing on this. Like, this is a different level of delusion, man. Holy shit. How far gone is this guy? I guess this is just what happens when you fall victim to the Hassan brainwashing, right? Apparently he thinks he's some sort of
I'm curious, with all Hassan's done and Logan Paul, how they're still around. Most people that have done crazy crap are gone. We don't see them anymore or hear from them. But Hassan's still living, and Logan Paul's still active, and apparently he's a billionaire. I wasn't aware of that. He really profited off stupid people quite well.
socialist hero going to try to save us all here. Completely morphed all of his opinions to align with Hassan and the Orbiters, even though he didn't used to like believe any of that stuff before. But I just don't get, how do you read your comments with everybody, literally everybody? I couldn't find a single positive comment towards iDubbbz. Read your comments like that and completely ignore it. Just take no level of accountability, you know, not even consider any of the criticism.
Well, we've seen this before. I mean, Pirate Software is the perfect example of he takes no accountability. Logan Paul does the exact same thing. I mean, these guys do this. They know they can get away with it. As long as they can continue to get away with it with no real repercussions, then that's it. They'll keep doing it.
I feel like you need to have a real special type of narcissism, but I don't think that Ian is like that level where he can, you know, he's so full of himself at this point. I think it's still Anissa, honestly. That's where the narcissism is coming from. Ian is just like her little puppet master that she controls and basically takes all the blame, right? If Ian does anything good, then she steps into the camera and goes like, yeah, it was actually both of us guys. But if things go wrong, then, well, it was all Ian's fault. Oh, Ian didn't want this being leaked, but I'm telling you guys. Oh, Ian messed it up, you know. I was totally the good party here, and this is like the whole narrative that's building up to the divorce, in my opinion. I feel like trying to paint Ian as this bad guy while she's just completely infallible, obviously. People responded, "You know you lost when you go from making an hour-long content cop, picking a fight, to making it a rule that you won't be discussing him and want to be left alone to do your own thing. If only this loser and his queen had just admitted they were in the wrong. They literally had infinite opportunities, even now." Hilarious how he thought he was gonna go shot for shot with Ethan, got blown the f out, even dropped out of Creator Clash to roll in the mud with Ethan, but now says he's moving away from the drama because it's too much. Very big of him after laughing at Ethan getting death threats and getting CPS called to his house. Yeah, he was
Yeah, that's happened. Yeah, Ethan, the whole reason he's forming all these lawsuits, going after the Redditors, going after the Discord mods, going after Casey Tron and Denim and Frogan, is because they are responsible for going after his kids. That's what they did. And you don't target a man's kids. You just don't do it. But he did. And, well, they did, and he responded. So that's what these lawsuits are about.
blaming it on Ethan. He's like, "Oh, well, why are you talking about your personal business online? You deserve this." Karma coming back, you know, delivering the 1-2 punch. Anyways, Anissa wrote a message here. "Things are stable and we don't have anything stressful anymore. So Ian will actually be free to make content, including streaming. So rats, very exciting." Yeah, guys, you know, really stable, not stressful at all, guys. You know, we just gotta sell our house, move countries, just gotta record from my basement, which we're literally stuck in. You know, we just had our entire online presence obliterated, lost 90% of our audience, went from 7 million views to 100K, and all those 100K are literally hate watchers. So I don't even know his actual audience. Not even that.
That's crazy. I mean, Pirate Software lost, I think, almost 200,000 total subscribers. So because he's shown to have lost that many subscribers, and them losing that many subscribers and as well as viewers, sheesh. I can't figure out how some of these people do this. Like, what makes them go to the extreme left? Is it a relationship they take on? Is it... Oh man, I just don't get it.
Them specifically, I feel like if that happens to any YouTuber, they're gonna panic because, like, holy shit, this is your entire career getting thrown down the drain, and you need to pretend like everything's okay so your audience doesn't get your remaining audience, it doesn't get the impression that, oh, things are falling apart and stuff like that. And we've seen this trend with Anissa before as well, where she says, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm actually the happiest I've ever been in my entire life, guys. This is everything is fine and dandy," as things are melting down around her. This event is being canceled. People are accusing you of stealing from charity, which is a heinous accusation, obviously.
Isn't that
And,
fraud
all
when you do something like
people
that?
are coming out with different stories, your boxing coach and everything. I feel like this tough girl act is just not working anymore. Nobody is buying this shit. Also, can somebody tell me, why does she always speak for him? It's actually crazy. Even the most insignificant thing, like, yes, Ian is not...
iDubbbz looks like what was that movie? Well, he looks like someone who lives in a trailer park with that curly hair from like the 90s.
is now finally allowed to stream, guys. Ian is let off the leash, right? You know, I and Nisa have decided it is you know, he's like my dog. I'm taking him for a walk, you know. It's meal time, you know. It's streaming time for Ian, guys. Clap it up. What was the trade-off for this? Did he have to drive you to your, you know, tattoo appointments? Ian has to watch her visit her best friend, Gorgeous Gabe, of course.
Our hairdresser walked up to us, who's also Ian's sparring partner, when we were waiting to get our hair cut, and he was like, "Ian, you're allowed to smile."
Because you also just you feel like a loser. He's this jacked, 200 plus pound dude with a bunch of tattoos. He kicks my ass.
Now, people are asking some interesting questions. Has anyone seen any additional fundraising efforts for this since they announced the cancellation? Because, you know, this was the Creator Clash event, which was, like, canceled and stuff. So, some level of compensation to, you know, keep your promise.
Oh, was that weird boxing event they were trying to put together? Having creators fight each other? One sec. My cat Hex, he is, every time I'm doing a live stream, he always comes up and starts meowing like crazy.
Charity, you know, in the past they did like a charity stream when the Creator Clash didn't work out. So nothing of the sort. It seems like just Charity completely screwed over once again. And this time
You're
there's
weirdo,
nobody
you know
even
that?
trying to compensate for it. Moving on
No,
to
you stay
female
there, that's not an
Hassan,
invite.
one of the most despicable Hassan orbiters, Denims of course. Reminder, she's the person who said grapes never happened October 7, forensic evidence, implied the CPS calls to Ethan are somehow justified because kids don't form memories at 3 years old apparently, so they just can't be traumatized.
You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old.
She's the one who recently, well, we saw a clip where she was defending Chris Tyson, the absolute creep.
Doesn't matter. The parents remember. They remember that some psychos online called CPS to have their kids taken away. They had people threatening to kill their kids, to have them existence wiped out from this world. They had people quite literally sending them things in the mail. I mean, these people, they're ridiculous, man. They really are.
Right?
The art that Ava had, the poster,
Oops.
the poster, as far as I see, doesn't look like it is or is not a fucking child. It's like edgy art,
Oh, hey, look.
and that's it.
It looks like a child.
Yeah, no.
And
it's
they-
questionably
And they're like
so.
thirsting. They're looking sexual. It's genuinely repulsive.
And apparently now she's trying to play defense from Mike from PA, the guy who said Jews are a demonic ethnicity.
Jewish is not an ethnicity. This constructed ethnicity. This demonic ethnicity.
So she does the classic Hassan strategy of this is bad, guys.
For years, I was under the impression if you were Jewish, it was a religion. But then I was recorrected. It's Judaism is the religion. Jewish is the ethnicity.
But
Anyway, so here she is defending Mike from PA, who, by the way, is still banned, I believe. I don't think he's got unbanned yet. So that's more than I expected from Twitch.
First of all, completely unacceptable, right? Like,
Okay,
these
good.
words in this order, completely unacceptable.
Oh, pause it. Great. Let's move on.
Although I don't like the
Shout
way
out.
she said.
Great take.
I don't like the way she said the words in this order. Like there's a certain way to say this and get this idea
say
across
it?
without
There, I said
showing
it.
your ass too much. He dog whistled a little too loud. Thank you.
It was very obviously
Wait, okay, now it goes sideways, Dan. God damn it.
him meaning to say Zionism.
No,
a Zionist is
no.
a constructed identity. That
No!
sentence makes sense.
Jewish is not
Zionism
an
is an
ethnicity.
identity. It's a fucking like philosophy even. It's not even an identity. What are you talking about, you dope? God, she's so dumb.
Identity. That sentence makes sense.
Jewish is not an ethnicity. Ethnicity. This demonic ethnicity. Ethnicity.
After watching the 300th Netanyahu clip of him pulling some fucking disingenuous garbage and misspeaking, because it makes no sense to say wholly made up.
of course, guys, what Mike said is bad, but only those words in that specific order. You know, if he actually reworded it, it would actually be okay. You know, maybe if he reworded it into something like Hitler was actually a good guy, guys, then maybe he actually got a point, of course. Literally, what are
I don't understand where all the hate for Jewish people just came from out of nowhere in the last few years. All I know is about Israel and the Gaza Strip, and that's it. But they act like just because that country has people involved in Judaism in wartime with another side, the Gaza, back and forth war, they act like it's the fault of every Jewish individual on the planet. I mean, it's not. They have nothing to do with it. People who are Jewish in this country have nothing to do with the war going on between Israel and Gaza. Nothing. And even a literal person who was the son of the leader of one of the high-ranking leaders within the Gaza Strip said, if they didn't kill each other, if they weren't killing Jews and they wiped them out, they would just start killing each other, because there's so many different groups that believe so many different things, they just will wipe each other out. The Middle East is a smorgasbord of just chaos. Pure, unfiltered chaos with the amount of hate that every group has for each other, every tribe. There are some places where they don't, there's other places there it's just crazy. Israel and Gaza is just like the smallest cluster.
Are you saying it's either bad or it's not? There's always this fucking Hassan false flag strategy, right? Well, was the shooting bad? Actually, it might have been a false flag. It's probably not a false flag, but it would have been the perfect false flag.
You could not have designed a better false flag incident like this.
Also, she's only saying it's bad. Okay, this is my hypothesis, is because Mike actually got banned, and these people are obviously terrified of accountability and any level of consequences. Obviously, Denims is getting sued now, so she needs all the money she can actually get, so she wouldn't want to be banned. So I feel like she's only saying this because she's scared that she'll get banned or whatever, right? And her
The suits aren't meant to ban them. The suits are meant to punish them for abuse of transformative content, which was non-transformative, which was just them taking a video, putting it on their stream, letting everyone on their stream watch it. They get all the views and ad revenue, while Ethan gets none of it because it's only one view from her computer. I mean, I wish there was a policy in place on Twitch where if you do something like that, all the ad revenue, like half of it gets sent over to YouTube, sent over to that YouTuber, because you can't watch it without providing a video link.
justification saying that Mike misspoke gotta be the top 10 most disingenuous shits I've ever heard, because he specifically said it and he reiterated it like 3 times. You know, he said 3 different statements back to back, and it was very, very clear. He was not saying Zionist, because if he was saying Zionist, he would have said the word Zionist. Like, it's just crazy the amount of ultimate omega copium Denims is actually doing here, right? I feel like it's abundantly clear at this point by anyone who watched the clip that you guys basically just exposed yourselves and said the quiet part out loud. So I feel like it would be better for everyone if you just admitted it and stopped trying to act like you're not anti-Semitic, all right?
Most European Jews, Ashkenazi, have absolutely no ties to the land of Israel, the Levant, or whatever you want to call it, because they were converts in Europe. We were previously pagan Christian. I mean, again, that's why he criticized.
That is completely a total lie. And again, it's just further the agenda that all these people have in denying Jewish heritage in the Middle East. And also Ashkenazi Jews, their DNA lineage does track back to ancient Judea, which is obvious, right? These people you're talking to are not colonizers. They were fucking born there. If they're colonizers, then so is your ass in fucking Dearborn. Did you ask the ghosts of the Native Americans that got, oh, she's not?
You're thinking of Frogan.
Yeah, where's she from? It doesn't matter where she's
from Dearborn, shut up.
Anywhere you live in America,
Shut up,
sorry.
Dearborn.
Anywhere you live in America is on the an Indian burial ground, you know what I mean?
This is some of the takes I'm talking about that Ethan has. They get a little too extreme. But regardless, he's well within his rights for the suits and what they were doing with his content. But the biggest thing that I need to take away from this, I need to make this very subtly clear. Judaism, the religion that Jews and Jewish people in general follow, and where they come from, I have no idea anything about that. I don't have any knowledge or information about where their origins are from within the Middle East. All I know is just because you're Jewish and you live in a different country does not mean you are in any way directly or indirectly responsible for anything going on in Israel, between Gaza and Israel. Nothing. And when people try to blame other people for something they have nothing to do with, it's ridiculous. Because they're blaming all Jewish people. Called them a demonic ethnicity. Man.
Like, did you forget to ask somebody if it was okay if you lived in where you lived? You know what I mean? Like, if you're born there and you don't have citizenship or opportunity to move anywhere else, you're not a colonizer. You are born there. You're just living.
You know what I find the most sort of disturbing? It's just like how unabashedly cruel these people are to people who disagree with them even in the slightest, right? They're just straight up psychos to anyone they don't like, right? Zero bit of empathy, despite being the side of empathy.
Until they get sued. Then they just turn on each other like crazy. And it's pretty clear when they do, because a great example, again, and I always reiterate it, was J.K. Rowling against that guy who was tweeting about her, calling her all kinds of names, saying she was this, saying she was that, and she let him do it for a year and a half. And finally, she said, all right, I warned you. I said, if you don't stop, this is going to happen. And she sued him. And as soon as the suit came down, he immediately took down every tweet, and he put out an apology saying everything he said was wrong, and then he apologized to J.K. Rowling. And then the suit was dropped. I mean, that's usually what it takes. Now we've got this large group of people trying to fight against Ethan. And you actually probably haven't heard, but the Reddit moderators gathered in one large group, and they joined a small firm to have them be represented by that firm. I don't think it's really a firm. I think they're a volunteer lawyer group, in order to avoid getting their names leaked and the messages leaked about the things they said. And the thing is, Ethan's even stated he doesn't care about the messages. He wants to know who they are so he can deliver the suits to them, so they can't hide behind their so-called anonymity.
Side of iDubbbz here, right? And this is basically how they get you. Their entire side sort of pretends to be the good ones, pretends to be the open-minded, loving, I love LGBT, but also Hezbollah. You know, it's like
they're not open-minded at all, because the moment you disagree with them on something, no matter how little it is, you're officially out.
They lure you in with trying to convince you that, hey, we are the good side, we are the caring side, we care for all people, but then slowly they reveal their true selves, right? And nobody who pretends to be this really good person ends up actually being a good person, right? Usually they end up having some horrific skeletons in their closet, right? And the thing about this is, it's not even a secret. Hassan has admitted this is like his strategy of he downplays his views whenever he's talking to people who are not so politically brain-rotted, so that they start to, you know, warm up to him, and then he slowly tells them his actual, you know, opinions, which is like, I support terrorists and shit like that, right? It's like slowly sowing the seeds of brainwashing little by little. And I know it sounds like crazy conspiracy or whatever, but this is exactly what they do. Like, these people...
It's not a conspiracy. That's exactly what they do. And all the brain-rotted people that follow them are basically supporting them. Because they live in an echo chamber. Because these are the type of people who don't want to live in a world with other people. They want their problems to be everyone else's problems. And they want to live in a world where, no matter how crazy it is they say it, it has to be true. This normal society cannot be based on this.
People are legitimately this insane, right? And when you're blatantly anti-Semitic and shit like that, you gotta use creative ways to get the modern audience to actually follow you. And they've somehow done that. They've actually gotten a following, right? I don't know about Denims and the other orbiters, they're pretty small, but Hassan for sure. Right, so this next part, she pulls a Mike from PA, and she's talking about Asians here. But apparently she didn't get the fact that Mike sounded like a complete idiot when he was talking about Jews.
Asian is not an ethnic? Like,
why is she... And she's adopting the dipshit language. She's so stupid. She doesn't even know that that's not appropriate. She says Asian is not an ethnic. Pull that, Zach.
Okay.
We have now 2 online socialist dipshits saying something is not an ethnic.
It's catching on, bro.
Asian.
All right. Gonna look up something. Let's see the determine. Are race and ethnicity the same? Boink. No, race and ethnicity are not the same, though they are sometimes used interchangeably. Race is generally understood as a social construct based on perceived physical traits. So, color of your skin. But why would we call someone African American and presume that as a race? While ethnicity is based on shared cultural elements like language, religion, and customs. Oh, that makes more sense. So religion is an ethnicity, at least falls into that category, just like how humans and insects and every animal, every creature on the planet falls underneath the animal kingdom. So Yes, it's just a social construct. That's pretty much all it is. Just a social construct of constructs.
Is not an ethnic. Like,
Why did you say that? It's not an ethnicity. An ethnic. You watched Mike say the dumbest thing we've ever heard, and you said, I want to adopt that into my language.
So if I'm right, just based on this, race is generally considered a social construct based on perceived physical traits, so color of skin. And while ethnicity is based on things like language, religion, and customs. So, that would mean French, a language, would be considered an ethnicity. Spanish, an ethnicity. Color your skin, like, I don't know. I think America does it weird. Because we have, like, white, African-American, Asian-American, Asian, Japanese-American. I mean, like, the list is pretty vast. And then there's other. But it's designed as race. I wonder if we're the only country who does that. No, the UK does that. I know they do that. Because when I've been out there once, no, sorry, not once, twice, and they had a fill-out form where you had to show what your race was. And they based it on your passport. So, yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure they're all, so UK does it. Mainly most of the westernized countries do it. I would assume Japan probably does it too.
Truly stunning stuff.
You can be Filipino,
Hey,
or you can
that's what
be,
the internet's for. If I don't understand it, I just look it up. I read it, try to understand
you can be
it.
Sephardic, or Mizrahi, or all these other things. And they're all distinctly different, and pretending like they're not and just grouping them together is inaccurate, right?
Why the fuck are you even talking about this? You are so out of your element. You have no idea.
Jewish is a big category.
Oh, yeah?
Okay? Jewish is a larger category than you guys are pretending it is.
You know, she's LARPing as some kind of like Jewish historian scholar.
I mean, Ethan, you just...
Did she just say Jewish people are like a category that have branching off differences? The only religion I'm aware of was the one I was raised in, was Christianity. And Catholic and Christians share similarities, but they fall off the same branch. So that's confusing.
Don't get it. They're Twitch streamers. They're automatically experts in any field they talk about ever, right? Remember, Denims is actually an expert in child psychology as well.
The average age of adults' earliest memories is 3.5 years old. You're not really forming memories at 3.
She's an expert in forensic science, expert in politics, expert in history. So yeah, you gotta take her at her word, obviously. Now, I have no idea. Maybe somebody in the audience can tell me here. What was her point there? Asian is not an ethnic, guys. What the fucking, like, go to an English class? Holy shit! How do you actually have a following? How are you actually telling people? How are you the person that people go to be educated about politics? I just find it insane that people actually trust these people. Literally room temperature IQ, man. I think I'm gonna brand this phenomenon the Mike from PA virus, right? This is kind of what happens when you watch Hassan Orbiter content for too long, unless you obviously have the Pegasus shield of protection here. If you're watching them through my content, you get a level of protection. The commentary sort of shields you here. But if you're exclusively actually going to them and watching all of their content, then yeah, it's gonna make it pretty tough, right? For you to not be completely brainwashed and turn into a zombie fucking NPC moron. You know, perpetually spouting their nonsense talking points, right? Listen, I don't have like a scientific study on this, so forgive me for that, but I feel like there's gonna be, like, if there's ever a study done, your IQ points will be dropping if you consumed like several hours of these guys' content, all right? So proceed at your own risk here. Right, so this next part, she defends Mike from PA again, and she criticizes ContraPoints. If you missed like the previous episodes, basically this ContraPoints person is somebody in the political sphere here, but they had a nuanced take about Israel-Palestine, basically saying that you should care about all civilian lives, you know, very controversial take, guys, and apparently that was enough to get absolutely shit on by Hassan and all the orbiters, right? And that's why they're very mad at her.
But you have to be a very disingenuous person to take a look at like Mike's recent track record, like the past 3, 4, however many years, like even just compare that shit to like how ContraPoints treated the situation in Gaza, the genocide in Gaza, that she waited until it was safe.
Oh, I'm not going to deny Israel is on a warpath over there, but they're just tired. See, they're just tired. You can't blame Israel for being the way that they are right now when it comes to Gaza. At some point, something's got to give. Like, it's kind of like how I feel about the U.S. You've got to stop. What's the word? We respond to things. When one country does something to us, we respond proportionally. A proportional response. Israel probably finally had enough after that big incident where the terrorists from that group that were in Gaza, I don't know much more about it than what I'm letting on. I'm not knowledgeable about this. I just have the bare bones minimum knowledge when it comes to this. So do not take me as the source. I just know that they snuck into Israel's territory, and when they did, terrorists went on an execution spree all across the country, killing tourists and kidnapping tourists, taking hostages, and a whole lot of other stuff. Many people from many different countries were kidnapped or killed. Americans too, people from the UK, all different kinds of people were taken. And that's the risk when you go overseas, because before you can even leave the country and you're going to a potential risky area, you have to sign a legal document from the United States that states the U.S. is not responsible for anything that happens to you when you go to this place outside the country. That's how crazy it is, because they don't negotiate with hostages. And yet American citizens screaming at the top of their lungs like, you need to negotiate, you need to save them. It's like, but they signed the paper. They took the risk. I mean, why? My general consensus on this, though, is the whole thing with Israel and Gaza. Like, Israel has gone into hammer down protocol. They're just pummeling the crap out of Gaza. It will be nothing more than a sheer crater by the time all is said and done. Habitability over there, gonna be tough. Very, very tough.
To say that it was a genocide, and then she said like, but you guys need to understand.
I fucking despise how people talk about
anything. What does any of that have to do with whether Twitch was justified in banning him?
None.
So Twitch did ban the guy who said Jews were demonic ethnicity. And no, I don't think they are. So do not ban me, Kick. Do not ban me, YouTube. But seriously, yeah, I find it interesting. He gets banned, but Hassan said some of the craziest crap in the world, and he's still there.
They like to group like all these, like, they go liberal Zionists. They call people like me and ContraPoints who don't like aren't in favor of like mass frankly ethnic cleansing the Jews that are there now, who were born there. So they hand wave us all as liberal Zionists. But I despise the way that these people now talk about ContraPoints. Like, she came out, she knew that she was going to get hell for expressing her opinion in the space she exists. She didn't wait till it was safe. She waited until it was the most unsafe time to express that opinion that went against the grain. And look what happened. Now all the dipshits like you are falling in line to lie and shit on her. Like, give me a break. You want to talk? You...
Yeah, there's no loyalty. I want to be clear. When it comes to us, the creators, and the people that like our content. Loyalty only goes as far as the content that you provide fits the narratives that they like. So, I just like to make my own content. I don't care what it is, how it is, reactionary, video games, lore. I like it all.
Only ever take the safest, most obvious take. Okay, when have you ever taken a brave stance on anything?
Yeah, heaven forbid somebody care about all humans, guys. That's too shocking. Too much of a controversial opinion here. Can't be caring about those Jews, of course. The demonic ethnicity, obviously. Also, I just love how she gives us constant slam dunks here. She's talking about Mike from PA's track record. Really? Really? You want to actually go there? His track record makes him look even more anti-Semitic, and if you ask me, it potentially makes him look like a criminal, considering this guy was putting bounties on people's heads.
Holy shit, guys. If you live in Florida, I have an opportunity for you. If you want to earn $100,000, let me know.
In my opinion, that is literally inciting violence, so Mike should probably...
That is 100% against free speech. You are not allowed to incite violence or treason against your country, and you're not allowed to speak in defamation or slander about others. That's a violation of the First Amendment. The Supreme Court gave this ruling, people. You just have to look it up. Supreme Court's ruling on what is considered free speech has been ruled upon. It is now law of the land.
Probably be arrested. I don't know how he hasn't been yet. Probably nobody's like, you know, filed charges or whatever like that, but...
Everyone's always saying, with everybody that speaks out, people that get into accidents, all this stuff, saying they need to be arrested, they need to be put in jail. Does anybody have any idea that the United States is the largest country with the highest incarceration rate? Our jails are pumped full for everything. I mean, literally where I live, they don't care about petty theft. They don't, because we're so full. Arresting people for petty theft would be just a waste of taxpayers' money. There's no more room in jails. It's out of control. People need to stop saying these guys need to get arrested, because they are not going to be arrested for just speaking their minds and speaking out, even though it's against the law. Because right now, with our incarceration rates so high and our criminals, all the criminals that are in jail right now, full up in the jails, we don't have enough room for all these people. We just don't. So, no, they can't be arrested. I'm sorry. There's just not enough. No attorney's going to spend time on this. No prosecutor's going to waste their time on this. It need to be a big political move and get them lots of attention before they do it, just like the Democrats did with Trump. And trust me, the Democrats tried everything with Trump. They tried and failed. And I laugh at them. Ha!
He's been threatening violence to Ethan as well, and Ethan, you know, contacted Twitch and stuff. They did nothing about it, obviously. Twitch, the wonderful platform there. So, I don't know. Denim's obviously...
Which is a failure of a platform. It's why I don't stream on there anymore. I will never stream on there anymore. Their terms of service make it so you are not allowed to stream on dual platforms if you stream on Twitch. Now, before, it was only if you were partnered, you couldn't do it. Now, it's period if they discover you. And since they choose where they want to enforce it, if they see me double stream, they'll just ban me. So it doesn't matter.
Obviously, once again, just being a complete disingenuous clown about everything. She really is, you know, living up to her title of female Hassan here. And I really feel like she's like a bot. She's like an actual NPC with these programmed talking points, and she just cannot veer from it, cannot apply any level of critical thought at all, and always comes to the same conclusion of, I must support the Hassan side. Like, sometimes you can criticize your own side, right? It's just, it's not hard to do. It's not hard to say like, hey, this was pretty bad, you know? And you don't need to follow it up with, but guys, I know Mike said this thing about Jews, but guys, he actually meant Zionists. Like, shut up for once, shut up, holy shit. Anyways, moving on to Ethan versus the H3 Snarkers. So quick recap. So Ethan subpoenaed Reddit and Discord to get the identities of the anonymous people harassing him. Basically, you know, some of these people might have been involved in the CPS call, we don't really know, but they're definitely involved in the copyright case because, you know, they had that whole post directing to Denim's and Frogan's stream to avoid giving views to Ethan's content nuke, right? So apparently they have finally lawyered up. And now
yes, they did
want to try and avoid giving their identities over to Ethan, but it turns out they might have just committed a huge misstep.
The H3 Snark mods have banded together and hired a boutique law firm.
Boutique, I don't know what that
In
is.
San Francisco, which makes me raise my eyebrow.
What makes it
anything in California makes you raise an eyebrow?
boutique?
It just
Well,
means like
there's 3 states right now. my lovely state of Ohio, raises a lot of eyebrows for memes. Then there's Florida, the we do whatever we want down here state, and the conspiracy state. And then you got California, the we do everything complete opposites of everyone else.
Like a small specialized. Okay. They seem like professionals.
Okay.
A boutique law firm in San Francisco to represent all of them. And the reason they've hired this lawyer is to challenge our subpoena request.
They don't want names being...
They're scared. They're scared. Whatever's in there must be bad. But the truth is, all we actually are asking for and need is their names so that we can serve them. Essentially, they're going to have to argue on behalf of the 3 defendants that what they did.
I'm going to not deny, I couldn't be around Ethan on a 24/7 basis. That cough would annoy me to the extreme. I understand he has Tourette's. I am understanding to that, but man, that cough, I just could not get used to it.
Was not infringement to therefore make themselves ineligible to be subpoenaed. It's going to be basically a motion to dismiss in the form of a squash, because they have to argue that argument on behalf of them.
Right, so
it's
you're
squash,
telling me the
apparently.
Redditors now have to defend Denims, Casey, and Froggen, right?
Froggen! He had to give us our daily trauma.
After Denims already threw them under the bus. I mean, just the absolute cinema. They must continue simping for Denims even after the betrayal, and she basically allowed the subpoena to go through without any sort of pushback when she could have easily sort of rejected it, right? So
I think she was the first one served.
Interesting turn of events, and the only way for them to avoid sort of giving their identities is to prove Casey, Denims, and Froggen did not actually violate copyright, right? Which is an impossible task, obviously, because, in my opinion, they definitely did violate copyright, and according to...
There's numerous videos. Some have 2, 3 of them where they just disappear from their chairs.
To the expert legal opinion by a bunch of lawyers on YouTube as well, congratulations, you're still fucked, alright? You just made it a little bit harder here.
Do I think they have a chance of prevailing? No shot in hell.
Why?
Personally. I mean, because, like, good luck explaining that these guys didn't participate in aiding copyright infringement. Like, the facts of the case are just so damning.
I mean, even as like a non-lawyer, right? As a lay person, you could see Ethan's video and come to the conclusion that they maliciously violated copyright. I mean, a lot of the clips are very damning there. Lawyers have also examined it, come to the same conclusion. Obviously, they always have a chance to win, but, you know, it's kind of like 5% or something like that. Ethan's lawyers would have to royally mess up or something, because obviously that's also a job, you know, getting across the best legal argument, but I'm pretty sure it's a slam dunk here. Now, the funniest part about all of this is that Ethan might not even have gotten the identities from the subpoena, right? Because if Reddit or Discord, as the platforms, did not actually have the real identities of the snarkers in the first place, because you don't have to give your real name to Reddit, I don't imagine, unless you're doing some sort of special interaction there or exchange it in the messages or whatever, right? So Ethan might not even have gotten their identities and not been able to sue them, but now he is definitely getting the identities, because in order to lawyer up, right? In order to lawyer up, you have to give them your real name to sort of represent you. Obviously, right now they're going by like Jane Doe or whatever, but eventually, right, Ethan will be able to get their names from their own lawyers, like their confirmed names here. So they've kind of screwed themselves over.
But here's the best part. This is kind of a strange move on their part. I mean, I would never say that getting a lawyer is a bad idea, but
no,
if they lose,
definitely not when you're getting
if they lose, they've all banded together and got this lawyer. If they lose, we get all of their names.
Oh, that's gonna be so beautiful.
Right.
From the lawyer. The lawyer knows who they are. Now, they're still John Doe and Jane Doe or whatever. The lawyer is keeping their identity private still, which makes sense because they're trying to quash
That's
the subpoena.
whole point is, yeah, that makes sense.
But if they lose, all of their names are right there.
You meaning you can get it, you don't even need Reddit anymore. You can
I don't believe so.
Get it from the lawyer.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean it's a big
Off like every 10 seconds. Good God.
It's a big swing. They're taking a big swing here.
But well, that says to me a few things. One, they are deathly afraid of that subpoena. My concern this whole time was...
It's not that they're deathly afraid. They just know the stuff that they've said. and done in those messages are damning. It has to be.
We'll get the subpoenas and we won't get anything from it. That they somehow either you use VPNs or use enough sock puppet accounts or this and that, and that we're not able to get any of their IDs. But they've done us the courtesy of coming together, hiring an attorney, getting all of their identities on record, so that when they try to wash this, which is going to fail in my opinion, then we've got all of these fucking mods dead to rights on 3 lawsuits. And this is my dream come true.
They did it for him.
Themselves to me
on a silver platter.
On a gold platter, not silver.
Okay.
Platinum 5712.
This is, I am going to feast on the fucking ashes of the lives that I will ruin.
Nah, okay, feast on their ashes.
Now, people are going to ask, does iDubbbz have a point where he said he shouldn't be bullying these people? No, they deserve it. Every single one of them deserve it, flat out. They have their just desserts. They got their just desserts for what they did with CPS, threatening their children's lives, and at the exact same time, sending items and skulls to Ethan's house. Like, he tolerated a lot before it got this far. And he didn't allow it to get to him. And now, he just said, you know what? The skull to my house? Final straw that broke the camel's back.
Is absolutely crazy. This is like a super villain monologue, dude. Did I ever lie when I said this was absolute cinema? You do not want to be the Hassan Orbiters right now. And the fact is, they are basically screwing themselves over here. It's just too good. Now, it's a bit confusing. So, is this like the 1 in a million situation where getting a lawyer was actually a bad thing? Because he couldn't actually find your real identity unless you did that? I mean, I can't think of any situation where getting a lawyer would ever be a bad thing, but it seems like this might be that case, unless I
don't know. Amber Heard's lawyer team was bottom of the barrel, I have to say. They had a hard time defending for her. I mean, but it's hard to defend for Amber Heard when everything she said was a lie.
I'm misunderstanding something here, but unless the messages, of course, were really damning, which is why they might have actually done it, right? Then it sort of makes sense. If in your messages you have already exchanged your real name, your identities, or you bought some fucking Reddit gold or something and you connected your payment card, which is your credit card, which had your name or something like that. In any case, whatever the reasons for their identities eventually being leaked here, congratulations, you're about to become side characters in the greatest series on planet Earth, and potentially that might actually be a good thing. All right, I feel like that's one of the saving grace for all the Hassan Orbiters. At least you get to be part of the group.
Seems like every day we have something new on the Hassan Orbiters because they keep doing stupid stuff every day.
Greatest series ever created since the Big Bang. Anyways, apparently it only gets better because they got lawyers in San Francisco, it seems, and suspiciously, that is the same place as Reddit headquarters.
Who do you think the biggest
Reddit headquarters?
Reddit employee on there when the names come out? Like, who's in there?
That would be epic.
That would be
So-
wild. That would be
I don't think so, though.
No, we can hope.
I wouldn't put
We
that on
can
my
hope.
bingo card. It's very unlikely.
What a twist. What a twist to the storyline.
I think it's just a
Ooh,
bunch
it's a
of
twist.
fucking loser obsessed weirdos. Like, it's just the same people you would expect. It's basically who you expect. Yeah, so the other thing that made me weird is they hired a boutique law firm in San Francisco, which is where Reddit is located. And it makes me wonder, without any evidence, I wonder if Reddit, who I've long suspected as fucking participating in, right?
Yes.
Obstructing,
I agree.
promoting, is involved in funding this in some way. We are in a situation that is literally crafted perfectly to my satisfaction. I have them all dead to rights, and I have all their identities just right there. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. And they're going to get sued for 3 different lawsuits. They will be ruined.
Oh my god, the levels of cinema are unprecedented, man.
These people did this to themselves. You don't touch another man's kids, dude. You just don't. You don't mess with his family. And Ethan has always been highly protective of his wife and his kids.
Crafted perfectly to my satisfaction. This mother flipper talking like it's a dish from Ratatouille, bro. Holy shit, like it's so delicious. I can feel the colors. Holy shit. I mean, you guys tell me, how crazy would it be if actual Reddit employees got involved? Like, obviously we had that person with 9 Reddit accounts or whatever. They were basically claiming that they worked at Reddit. So now they are a serial bullshitter, obviously, but maybe they actually did. So being a Redditor is one thing. Being an unemployed Redditor hating on Ethan is one thing. Being an employee at Reddit and having like these 9 accounts and, you know, snarking to that level, that is a different level of patheticness. Now click this video or you get stuck in iDubbbz's basement, dog, with stinky iDubbbz. All right, you don't want to do that. Click the video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Oh man, the Ethan Klein situation is getting, well, absolute cinema. All right, this is some crazy stuff that I'm seeing right here. We chased driverless trucks in Texas. What we saw will scare you. I want to be clear. They are doing this on a specific highway in Texas as a field test for a company called Aurora. And this company is making it so they won't have to ever hire a CDL driver ever again if this technology becomes mainstream. And this is proof of concept right here, proof of concept that the human component in most businesses is about to go away. It starts with retail. It's going to go into factory work, which has most of that stuff already. And it has most of that stuff already. And then it's definitely going into the manufacturing space even more. This is where it comes from. Now, I'm a firm believer in innovation. I believe we shouldn't be stopping with innovation and development just because someone's going to lose a job. I just don't. Because the inevitability of it is that you're just holding people back because you want to stay in a job for 30 to 40 years and make everyone else suffer when there's an easier way and a better way to make this better for everybody. But then you say, well, you're uprooting that person's entire livelihood. What are they supposed to do then? Adapt. You just have to adapt. There's no choice. It's either adapt or don't. And if you don't, you disappear. You just disappear into dust. People gotta come with it. Innovation is real. It's happening. We are in an age where things are going to continue to get more and more advanced, and it's going to get to the point where the people are going to be out of a job. They just are, and they've got to adapt and change up. We're getting to that point. It's starting to get there.
So we're here on I-45 in Palmer, Texas, just south of Dallas. We are on the lookout for a new invention that could potentially upend one of the largest industries in America. That invention, a driverless truck.
Driverless semi-trucks are now operating in Texas.
No one behind the wheel of a huge semi-truck. The company Aurora launched service this week. My heart is just palpitating thinking about this.
Aurora Innovation and several of their competitors have been using I-45 as a testing ground to prove a single point. They don't need drivers.
Well, it's going to be a catastrophe.
We are on the verge of a new era in trucking.
I mean, this is truly transformational technology.
And it's coming for your job, too.
More jobs are lost through automation than they are through trade deals.
A robot comes into a factory, workers go away.
Robots could soon put together your next grocery order.
Many office jobs even.
The job you have today ain't going to be here in 10 or 15 years.
The question would be to the company, why do you need everything automated?
So, we came to Texas to...
Well, here's a question. It's the biggest question I have for people that complain about the automation. How hard does the job need to stay just so you can have a job? how hard does it have to be? The goal of innovation is to simplify the process and make it easier. Now, I'm not a big fan of companies that make millions and billions of dollars, and they still have their jobs because they're at the top of a board of directors making millions, while they keep replacing every human within the building with a robot. No, I'm not a fan of that. I like innovation that benefits everyone. And I know everyone is subjective. It's like, how do you say that for everyone? That's like me going the one route and saying, I don't like a video game if it's not designed for everyone. It's just impossible. You can't design something for everyone. But I believe innovation that benefits everyone, as in a driverless truck, a new advanced AI, things like that, it's hard to justify. But imagine AI that just cured us of all our diseases. That would put all medical practices out of business. I mean, these are real potential technologies. And I still think that innovation, it's better for humanity as a whole. I may not like where it's going to hit, but I got to adapt. Boy, we are Borg.
Witness the revolution for ourselves.
Every load that one of these driverless trucks take is a load that's being taken away from a driver.
We spent time with truck drivers talking about what this means for them.
I kind of am one of the last of the cowboys. We are truly a dying breed of people.
And find out how ready our roads and our society are.
Well, look at it this way. We used to transport ourselves around on our feet. Then we developed sandals. We used to transport ourselves around with sandals. Then we made boots. And then after boots, we pretty much went the way of the horses, domesticating them, riding them. And then horses got innovated out. And after they got innovated out, cars replaced them. And then after cars, you got motor scooters, small bikes, electric bikes. And eventually you get semi-tractor trailers. I mean, trains. And the thing is, most of the things that become pushed out become a pastime that we enjoy separate from everything else, like horseback riding, driving a wagon, being on a train. I mean, these are just things that happen with innovation.
For this change.
Have we done a good job of addressing the policy questions that need to be answered in order to successfully develop this to maximize the benefits of it? I think absolutely not.
This tech is coming. I mean, it's here now. But is there a way to make it work for us instead of against us?
It's all happening right here. Buckle up. We're heading out.
The bottom line is there will have to be a human present for the operation of this. Where it goes, I don't know.
So right now we're just parked right across the first transfer hub from Aurora Innovation. This is where they're going to be launching the driverless trucks out of.
Aurora Innovation was started in 2017 by 3 Silicon Valley heavyweights. Chris Urmson, who previously led Google's self-driving car project that spun off into Waymo. Sterling Anderson, who led the development of the Tesla Autopilot and Model X. And Drew Bagnell, who worked on autonomous innovation at Uber. Aurora does not actually make trucks. They make what's called
the Aurora Driver.
It's a combination of software, like AI, machine learning, and training simulations, and hardware, like radar, LiDAR, and cameras, that work together to create and inform the Aurora Driver.
The Aurora Driver is going to be essential to our customers. It's
Can
going to allow
you lay
them to
down?
build more revenue while
Can
having
you chill
lower
out?
costs.
And they are not alone. Companies like Wabi,
Go
Plus
lay down.
AI, and Kodiak are all in the race to create
You gotta
driverless
relax.
trucks. But Aurora is the big one, and they said they'd be ready to launch by the end of April 2025.
Buddy, you need to go lay down.
All right, and there she goes. Got drivers in it, which is a little bit unfortunate for us, but it's good for anybody that still needs a job. And we're going to be following it all the way down to Houston. So, the truck that we're following right now, even though there's a safety driver and a technician in it, the safety driver is basically just holding their hands right next to the wheel in case there's any erratic motions. It's still driving itself.
Aurora and other companies have been testing on I-45 in Texas like this for years.
Texas is ground zero for it because they have a really permissive regulatory environment here.
Oh, so they've been doing this for a while
specific
then.
Stretch of road. It's one of the densest freight corridors in America. And
Good
there's
place
a
to
lot
test
of,
it.
Money to be made here.
And obviously, that money has to come from somewhere.
Major changes to these industries will have major impact on
There'll
jobs.
be a massive depletion of truck driving opportunities.
Driving for a living is the single most common job for high school educated men in this country.
So is Aurora going to have a driver in the truck of an autonomous vehicle? No, they're not. So they are going to take jobs.
Robert and Chris are with the Teamsters Local 988, representing truckers in Texas. Their union hall is just a few miles from Aurora's terminal in Houston.
So before deregulations, truck driving was considered a very good paying middle class job. You could raise a family on it.
But that's not so true anymore.
There's a trope in trucking. It was always better before.
The trucking industry has changed to the point where I don't recognize it anymore.
They all felt as though they were betrayed by the government for the Motor Carrier Act.
We actually made a whole video on the Motor Carrier Act of 1980 and just how much it changed these jobs.
And today we're looking at why truckers can't make a living.
The advent of self-driving trucks, in my view, is actually the end point of a long series of technologies that have caused a decline in wages and working conditions.
Steve Viselli has been studying the industry for over a decade.
What that led to was very high turnover. And so those experienced drivers who were used to those good wages and good working conditions said, essentially, hell no, I'm not going to do that. And so this is where the driver shortage narrative comes from.
A major shortage of truck drivers in the
Shortage of truck drivers.
There's actually not enough truck drivers.
The industry is approaching a breaking point.
Now, there isn't a shortage of truck drivers.
They say that a lot, but so far this supposed breaking point, it's like the end of the world speech, where they're always saying, this is the end of the world, this is a sign, this is the apocalypse, blah, 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 blah. Until I see it happen, it hasn't happened. So there's no breaking point yet. It hasn't reached it. It's not there. Can we stop making up weird narratives that don't fit what's actually going on with the actual situation?
We have 3 times the number of folks with a license to drive a truck than the trucks that need to be operated. It's because of this turnover in the industry. In some years, as many people are trained for those jobs as the number of jobs themselves, meaning we have almost 100% turnover of people entering the industry and leaving it every year.
But this driver shortage narrative is how Aurora has been justifying its work.
The trucking industry has faced and continues to face a structural challenge with not having access to enough drivers.
We're delivering a scalable, stable driver supply.
They're not addressing a shortage because there isn't one. There's never been one. There's a shortage of willingness to invest in people and pay them better.
What they really should be saying is we're going to run the freight for a lot cheaper than it would be to have a meat in the seat driver.
Aurora has made some very serious claims about what their technology, the Aurora driver, can do.
In the U.S. alone, 6,000 people die in accidents with trucks on our freeways. The Aurora driver can drive that number to 0.
Now they're going to guarantee that they're going to have no fatalities through any one of their drivers.
Yeah, right.
I'm willing to bet on that.
Because the Aurora driver has been tested without public oversight or regulation, a lot of their claims are hard to prove.
The Aurora driver will change lives.
One thing is clear though, this is positioned to take jobs.
Human drivers are limited to 11 hours a day. The Aurora driver should be able to almost double that, if not more.
There are a lot of types of trucking jobs. One of them is called line haul trucking.
These are some of the best jobs in trucking.
There's a lot of different CDLs because there's CDL A and CDL B. One gets you access to just being a regular semi-truck driver, and other you have to operate for chemicals, which is a much harder one to get.
They're over-the-road drivers moving from motor carrier terminal to motor carrier terminal.
That's essentially what Aurora is hoping to prove it can do with the Dallas to Houston route.
They've been running that same route for years now. And so that's really how it's going to roll out for these better jobs.
You know what sucks though? If they go to driverless trucks, no more of the horn honks where you do the thing on the side of your car to get the truck driver to blow their horn. Tradition over.
Is those ones that go along a particular lane, right, between an origin and destination, those are going to be the ones that get automated next.
There was a little bit of feeling of accomplishment of getting done purpose, delivering stuff. I mean, over the years, I've hauled a lot of different freight.
Will Cook is a truck driver. We brought him along with us to see more tests of the Aurora driverless truck.
So Chris Urmson told investors,
I very much look forward to the day when every truck here on I-45 is driven by Aurora.
What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, where's all these people going to go to work? I mean, look how many trucks we're passing right now. Where are these people going to go to work?
Aurora and their partners, though, claim all of this is actually good for drivers.
We feel like this will help develop a better job, a better career for our drivers.
These line haul jobs that they're taking, I'm telling you, guys stay on a list to get these line haul jobs. Well, why is there a list? There ain't a list to get in and do local work.
This is the way that things are looking now. Aurora is training for that line haul job. It's getting good at highway driving, but driving off the highway, where the variables are different, is harder. So a human driver on either side of the Aurora driver's journey will do what is called the first and last mile. Those jobs are often paid less, and are already on their way to being automated too.
Those are really policy questions as to whether or not we have two really good truck driving jobs on either end of that.
Boy, if a robot was delivering my Amazon products, don't know how I'd feel about that. Not sure if the product would actually make it here.
Autonomous trip, or some of the worst jobs out there in many ways.
I find it hard to believe that representatives aren't screaming at the top of their lungs about, hey, we need to find out what these people are doing.
This is Brent.
It's a twofold problem. The problem is we have to innovate to improve to be better. But with innovation always comes people losing jobs in that particular area. And eventually that thing becomes a pastime. So what do you do about it? Well, it just keeps innovating. They can do all they want to try to stop it, but I don't think they can. Innovation, it's going to happen, it's going to push forward, and it's going to change things. There's nothing they can really do about it. And just look at the state of where we are now with the way things are evolving and advancing. Now, my issue with innovation only lies on one side. It's the company side, when they treat their consumer base like absolute dog shit and think that we're just buying a license from them. Can't tolerate that. I'm not buying a license from you. When I buy the product, it's mine.
Taylor, he's the vice president of the Southern region for the Teamsters.
You know, to take away their driving job and giving it to an automated system overnight, basically, would be devastating to a lot of families.
Texas has been a haven for these companies to develop and test their driverless trucks, unregulated. But a new bill in Texas legislature is hoping to stop that.
But at the end of the day, we need human oversight in these vehicles.
HB 4402 requires a human operator to be physically present.
There's also the argument that some drivers are just lazy. There's also the argument the machine mail it's just to both the human and the AI.
In any automated commercial vehicle, which could mean protecting jobs, at least in the short term.
And these companies are lying to the general public, saying, you know, it's going to create jobs. It's not going to create.
No, the first thing it does is it takes jobs away, and then the new jobs it creates are for people that get trained to maintain it. That's it. So for people that are like 50, 60 years old still driving trucks or doing that particular job, which is getting replaced, they lose it. And there's nothing they can do because they can't just take their life, back it up, and start all over again. It just doesn't work that way. That's why I believe if they're going to have these kinds of problems with workers and innovating in certain things, they should just offer a severance package. Give them a reason to retire or enough money to live on after you decide that you're going to go the other way of human interaction for more machines.
Enough jobs to make, especially the money that these drivers make.
The Texas bill is just one of a handful of bills in state legislatures across the country finally taking on this industry. That is, if the federal government doesn't get in the way.
Big corp trying to save money, and I get that. I'm not anti-corporation, but at some point we're going to have to start looking at this and deciding how our country's going to address it when it comes to jobs.
So, does the arrival of self-driving trucks have to mean total job loss? Is there any hope at all?
The impacts are not baked into the technology itself. Oftentimes you have people say,
the ones sitting at the top, the CEOs and the board of directors for each of these companies that run them, They don't care who they got to get rid of as long as they're getting more money. And that's all that matters, because again, these corporations are all about one thing. They don't just want some of the money, they want all the money. And that's just how they've always been. It's gotten worse and worse with each year, with they're setting way too high of goalposts that they'll never achieve, and then falling short of it, and then they lay off a bunch of people.
You know, what are self-driving trucks going to do to truck drivers? Self-driving trucks aren't going to do anything to truck drivers. Their employers are going to do something to truck drivers. The people who operate, you know, these trucks are the ones making that decision.
In his report, Steve laid out a number of ways this technology could affect the labor supply, from replacing drivers completely to working in collaboration with them. One of the more hopeful scenarios is called
platooning. So in this scenario, you would have a human driving that lead truck, and then you would have autonomous trucks behind it. That same driver is now able to move 2 or 3 times the amount of freight that they were before. And the advantage is that they're there in case, you know, the environment should have some condition that the truck is unclear about, whether it be wet.
And the other part about this is, how do those trucks fuel themselves? Because pumps aren't self. Like, they can't, pumps for gas aren't automated, they're self. You have to have a human fill it up. It's built for the human. I mean, they probably could come up with a standardized system, I'm certain, but that's a whole nother ball game.
Weather, an accident, you know, a blown tire.
And this example, he says, could actually lead to upskilling instead of deskilling and higher wages for more specialized drivers.
And what we need to do is we need to see this technology as a tool, and we need to decide what it does. Is it going to make our highways safer? Is it going to make trucking jobs better? Is it going to help us to fight climate change? Is it going to help us to have more efficient infrastructure? Rather than assuming that the technology is going to decide what impacts it has, we as a democratic society should decide what those priorities are, and we should put this tool to work achieving those goals.
Just a few days after we filmed their test run, Aurora officially launched their driverless truck. And a few days later, they put a human back in the cab. And the next steps for Aurora are obvious. They want to expand through the Sun Belt and other states with lax regulations. They want to expand to local delivery and passenger vehicles. They want to dominate the market.
We look at this market and we just see it as Aurora's to lose.
This isn't the first time that a radical new technology reshaped the labor market. In the Industrial Revolution, machines powered by steam and coal transformed society, often at the expense of workers. Today's drivers are much like the folk heroes of the early 20th century, figures from songs and legends like John Henry.
John Henry was the best steel driver,
who represented the struggle of workers fighting to prove their value against these new machines.
And then here comes a man with a steam drill. The legend speaks of this race taking place between John Henry and the machine.
I saw this YouTube of a Budweiser truck being driven by a driverless truck, and it was like this visceral fear that gripped me. And I really felt like, okay, this must be what John Henry felt like when the steam-driven hammering machines came out and his job was on the line. And so I did write a song called The Ghost of John Henry.
I saw the ghost of John Henry. He was cackling through his chain. He said, you may beat the machine one time, they're gonna kill you just the same.
I've watched the cartoon for that too. And then I watched the Daniel Boone cartoon.
Hi, thank you for watching. If you like this story and would like to see more stories like this, be sure to like and subscribe to More Perfect Union in the links below. Also, this is a huge topic, and unfortunately, we couldn't include everything. But if you'd like to find out more about what autonomous trucks mean to both working class America and also the environment, there's a lot more information available at my master's project website at stealingfire.tech.
I'm just curious the kind of automated fuel system they'll have to come up with in order to keep those trucks operational if they plan to remove the whole human element from it. In fact, they would, the way the truck's built, I would think that they wouldn't need a cab anymore in the back. Unless they turn the cab into a big server holder. Well, to each their own. All right, next one. Okay, we have apparently a virus that's being spread by mosquitoes all around China. Now, keep in mind, I take anything the New York Post says with a grain of salt. But if this is true, we have a potential problem. Because we've already had killer wasps come over, murder hornets. Yep, the murder hornets come over here. Found 4 nests up in Washington State, and they had to develop specialized suits with the CDC coming out and destroying the nest and taking care of all the murder hornets. So this is real. This is very real.
The videos coming out of China and spreading across social media are eerily familiar, reminiscent from the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. So what is happening? And do you need to worry? China is experiencing an outbreak of chikungunya, a painful mosquito-borne virus. It has rapidly spread to about 8,000 patients in just 4 weeks, mainly across China's Guangdong province to the south.
I'm curious if it's a rural area, a suburban area, or a city, or if it's along like an open area where they still do field harvesting. Because mosquitoes being common in city limits, I don't see that often where I live.
The city of Foshan hit the
They're more often active in forests, near swamps, riverbeds, mainly areas with a lot of moisture.
Quarantine wards and hospitals, where they're placed in beds covered by mosquito nets, where they have to remain for a week or until they test negative. In a massive effort to curb its further spread, masked Chinese soldiers have been dousing public spaces with insecticide. Authorities have begun releasing elephant mosquitoes, whose larvae devour the smaller virus-carrying mosquitoes, and releasing mosquito-eating fish into Foshan's public ponds. Residents have been ordered to remove
Ponds look like Lake Erie.
mosquitoes breed from their homes and threatened with fines up to $1,000.
Oh no, sorry, not Lake Erie. Mommy Bay. Mommy Bay.
Recent record
Mommy Bay
downpours
River.
led to perfect conditions for mosquitoes to breed in stagnant water.
China is a huge country. The mosquito can grow with the size of a 1 pound coin. A UK 1 pound coin, there's all the clean water it requires. And every time it rains, you are going to have thousands, if not millions, of 1 pound coin volumes of water that can grow the mosquitoes.
The level of response has not been seen since COVID and show just how jittery Chinese officials are about.
So this might just be something exclusive to them. Okay, not so bad then. But it would suck if they migrated over here. That would be super bad. And that means more insect repellent for us.
About the potential for another major health crisis. Despite the fact that the swift response by the Chinese government has its citizens online comparing the 2020 pandemic that killed.
Well, you can't blame them. You can't blame them, but China's has had 3 major incidents. First the bird flu, then COVID, and now this mosquito thing.
Millions of people. Chikungunya
And this is in less than 30 years.
is vastly different. Though this
And there's a major reason for that, honestly. Biggest reason for that. Why you see this more in China than anywhere else. Because China does not have any regulation for its food manufacturing and the manhandling of food products, which creates the spread of bacteria. Like, they have no regulation, no FDA, no health department, no CDC. They've just got them, the CCP. That's it. That's all they got.
symptoms can be agonizing, the disease typically isn't deadly.
It develops after a few days, the individual will get fever. Very much like dengue with headache, muscle aches, but the joint pains. The joint pains are very prominent. It can appear in any part of the joints, and then it could even affect the small arms or small joints of the hands, and thereafter it persists on.
The name chikungunya actually came from a Swahili dialect,
Ooh, excuse
which
me.
means to bend over. right? And the reason is because your joints are so painful, you have to bend over to relieve the pain, and that's how the virus got, the disease got its name.
Perhaps most significantly, it is not spread between humans. The only way of transmission is through the bites of infected Aedes mosquitoes. But that's...
I mean, there's no different from West Nile. A lot of diseases and viruses are spread through mosquito bites because of the saliva that they leak when they're drinking.
doesn't mean it can't spread rapidly and widely.
I think the real driver of...
I mean, this is what actually was part of an issue with the Black Plague, with fleas biting into rodents and rodents carrying the virus and then spreading it to humans.
Outbreaks like chikungunya and all that are travelers. The reason is because not everyone who gets infected with chikungunya virus would develop symptoms. So you could still be very well, but you're carrying the virus. And so because of this increased rate of movement of people from one country to another, from one region to another, and made possible by long distance air travel, so you could get infected in, say, somewhere in Latin America, and then you hop on a plane and then fly all the way across, halfway across the world to get to another place with the virus in you. And when you land there and you get bitten by a mosquito, then you can then transmit the virus to the mosquito, who will then pass the virus on to other people who have not traveled out of the place. So I think that's probably the way that the virus got into China.
The CDC on Friday issued a level 2 travel notice for those going to China as the disease continues to spread. Level 2, which tells travelers to practice enhanced precautions, is on a warning scale of 4, with 4 urging people to avoid all travel to the region. There is no known cure for the virus, but there are 2 approved vaccines in the US, which the CDC is urging Americans traveling to China to get.
Sheesh. Yeah, there's recommended vaccines you can get from your local pharmacy or a clinic, and they usually have a list of recommended vaccines to take before you go to a specific country. It's been a wild week, apparently. He's done everything to avoid it. Night Rain new Everdark boss runs? Ooh. Alright, we are moving on to 40k lore. How Orcs ruined Abaddon's war. The worst Black Crusade. It's funny how Orcs and Tyranids can ruin chaos. But just like fantasy, it'll all blow up.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. 3 centuries have passed since the end of the 10th Black Crusade. The Imperium, battered by millennia of external threats and internal strife, still clings to its territories. The golden years of the Great Crusade are long forgotten. Few now remain who even remember those hallowed days. Where once the Imperium was a bastion of hope for mankind, it is now a rotten carcass. Too large and bloated to collapse, the Emperor's realm slowly fades away. World after world, soul after lost soul, mankind inevitably crawls towards extinction. And in the dark void of the Eye of Terror, something stirs again. It was in the year 301 M39 that the shadows stirred once more, and the galaxy would again know fear. Welcome to our latest video on the wars of Abaddon the Despoiler, in which we will cover the 11th and perhaps most chaotic of his Black Crusades. In the endless conflicts of the far future, sacrifices must be made. Every day, the species of the Milky Way galaxy numbered their losses in the millions. Yet the machine of war never rested. Tanks and warships were rebuilt.
Oh, and I want to make this clear. Games Workshop, bring back the Emperor. Let him come back. Stop making up excuses and stop dragging it out. Bring him back. Bring him back already as his all-powerful self and let him cook.
Populations were replenished. Planets were recaptured. In spite of all this,
and stop writing him into dumb walls that make no sense for his character.
One unrecoverable resource remained out of reach of all: time. Not even the Emperor of Mankind could gain back a single precious wasted second once it had slipped from his fingers. And now he sat rotting on the Golden Throne, waiting for someone or something to finally seal his fate. Time would make corpses out of all. While the Emperor brooded, somewhere beyond the veil of the Eye of Terror, Abaddon sat in his eternal advantage. The traitor legions were notoriously short on everything. from guns to war engines to precious gene seed. Moreover, the impossibility of the Sea of Souls made for poor...
Well, the problem is gene seeds for chaos-infected Marines and Space Marines were so volatile that the Marines don't last very long. They fall apart.
Logistics. The heretics waged war with antiquated weaponry and sailed across the stars on warships that hadn't been refitted for generations. They reaved and scavenged with pathetic desperation, hoping to lay hands on anything that might allow them to continue their long war for one more day. Yet the one thing the traitors had more than anyone else in the galaxy was time. Safely hidden within the folds of the eye, Abaddon was out of reach and out of sight. He could lay his plans with impunity and wait, as centuries of real time passed in the blink of an eye within the warp. Abaddon, ever patient, had spent 3 such centuries brooding and scheming. He had gathered new allies and forged new pacts in his endless war against the Corpse Emperor. His pact with Perturabo had predictably broken down. Once his conditions had been met, the irascible Lord of Iron had cut all ties with the Warmaster. This was probably for the best, as the fallen Primarch would have been the greatest challenger Abaddon had ever faced if it had come to it. 300 years after the 10th Black Crusade, the Despoiler's eye turned once more to the hated Imperium. With it came the grinding machinery of war, the clamor of Chaos champions eager for blood, and demonic hordes eager to be unleashed. For the followers of the Dark Gods, it was time to rise once more. For the Imperium, it was the first whispers of a new nightmare. Gathering his warships, Abaddon set out once again. The hated planet of Cadia, however, was still in his way. No matter what the Warmaster had thrown at the planet, its mighty casters had remained unbroken. Abaddon's last 3 Black Crusades had shown him the value of bypassing the Fortress world altogether and striking at the less defended rear of Imperial space. And so the Despoiler resorted to obfuscation and confusion once again. Unfortunately for the Warmaster, his usual tricks would not work this time. The Imperium had gotten wise to his tactics and taken countermeasures to ensure their front line remained impassable. To make matters worse, Abaddon had lost access to the mind-shackled cogitators Perturabo had used during the 10th Black Crusade. Without their guidance, he had no means of safely bypassing Cadia. All of this may explain the Warmaster's next questionable decision. Imperial scholars still debate over Abaddon's state of mind in the moments leading to the 11th Black Crusade. On one hand, Ezekiel had proven his military prowess again and again. On the other hand, his strategic decision-making during these events was certainly less than stellar. But
you gotta admit, in the Warhammer 40k universe, when it comes to the amount of stupid things that some of these guys do, when you consider that the majority of them are smarter than every other human, it's weird. It's almost like Games Workshop just says, let's write this stupid thing in the stupid way to make it seem even stupider.
But as noted by one of the greatest heroes humanity had ever known, it was never wise to underestimate the enemy, particularly a 10,000-year-old madman who'd been marinating himself in the raw stuff of chaos for most of that time. Regardless of what went through Abaddon's mind, the Warmaster ultimately decided to once again trust in sorcery. Ezekiel set his psyches to summon and bind a greater demon of Tzeentch, the god of change. Shackling the enslaved creature to his ship, the Despoiler meant to use its infinite knowledge to guide him through the Sea of Souls. Needless to say, this plan was worse than reckless. Trusting the will of Tzeentch was a fool's errand to begin with. Trusting an enslaved pet of the ficklest and most unknowable of the Chaos Gods was nothing less than insane. Still, Abaddon had secured Tzeentch's graces during the 8th Black Crusade. Perhaps he thought this was enough to see him through this ordeal. If so, he would be greatly disappointed. The gods of chaos are nothing if not fickle, and Tzeentch was the most treacherous of them all. The demon of change that Abaddon bound to his warship was no passive tool. It was a caged tempest, a creature of impossible intellect, malice, and madness. Its mind danced through the kaleidoscope of the Immaterium, warping reality with...
Is it that double-headed bird?
...each passing moment. For a time, the Despoiler believed he held the beast in check, forcing it to guide his fleet through the writhing tides of the warp. But such arrogance would not go unpunished. The demon's prison was elaborate.
Gotta admit, that demon looks a lot like the one that they threw a ship at.
Labyrinth of wards and runes, crafted by the most gifted sorcerers of the Black Legion. Yet nothing can truly silence a creature born from chaos. The demon spoke in a cacophony of truths and lies, riddles and promises. Its words coiled like serpents in the minds of the navigators it was supposed to guide, a constant gnawing pressure that eroded their will. As the fleet plunged deeper into the roiling madness of the warp, the demon's task grew harder. The Immaterium was a churning ocean of soul storms and psychic riptides, a sea of screaming, hateful spirits. Forced to navigate this chaos for Abaddon's vast fleet, the demon's mind strained and twisted. Even its vast intellect frayed under the impossible burden. What began as a low, whispering murmur
Sounds like they need a navigator.
soon swelled to a chorus of madness. The demon's mind fragmented under the weight of countless realities pressing against it. Its laughter became a scream, its prophecies shattered into a storm of contradictions. The sorcerers chanted louder, redoubling their efforts to maintain control. Yet even as they wove spells of binding, the demon's fury built, a pressure that could not be contained. Some among the sorcerers clutched at their heads, blood pouring from their eyes and ears, their thoughts invaded by the demon's madness. Many fell, their minds shattering like glass. Others turned upon each other, howling accusations of treachery, clawing and stabbing in panic. With a scream that echoed through the warp, the demon finally broke. Its intellect shattered like a mirror. Yet though broken, it was not free. Bound by Abaddon's sorcery, its fractured essence assaulted the minds of the ship's navigators. Unmoored from any rational course, the demon's madness spilled into the warp and engulfed Abaddon's warships. Reality fractured as the fleet was scattered across the galaxy. Some ships were hurled light years away, emerging in the darkness of the void, their hulls scorched by psychic power. Others appeared at the very edge of the Eye of Terror, their crews babbling in tongues, their minds seared by visions of impossible futures. A few vanished entirely, never to be seen again, their fates a mystery. And some poor vessels were cast into the depths of the Immaterium, where their hulls twisted and melted, and their crews were torn apart by the gibbering horrors of the warp. Abaddon's fleet, once a disciplined hammer of war, was torn asunder into a scattered flotilla. The despoiler's grand
Such is the
strategy lay
fate
in
of
ruins,
Chaos.
his carefully laid plans
And
scattered
everybody else, because
alongside
everyone's
his
a bad guy in this universe.
This was by far the most catastrophic opening to any of his Black Crusades. The Imperials had not even fired a shot, and already the Black Legion found itself in dire straits. But Abaddon himself, seething from the wreckage of his damaged flagship, refused to admit failure. Where there was a will, there was a way, and the despoiler would find an opportunity to turn this disaster to his advantage. Ezekiel's flagship was flung from the warp, along with a few of his vessels. After a moment of utter confusion, the War Master managed to regain control of the situation. Status reports and auger scans confirmed their plight. Only a handful of Black Legion void crafts had remained together. To make matters worse, they were light years away from any target worth pursuing. Ship technicians and warp seers confirmed their location. Abaddon had chanced upon the world of Reloria in the system of the same name. Reloria was an unremarkable cardinal world, whose primary bastion against the encroaching darkness was its faith. Their response time, however, was admirable.
The faith? Yeah, that just empowers chaos.
The Ecclesiarchy's Frateris militia mustered in their thousands, clad in ragged robes and wielding weapons marked with holy sigils. Though they were a far cry from the disciplined troops of the Astra Militarum, these fanatics would fight to the last. The preachers' voices rang out over the world, causing the faithful to stand against the heretics, their fanaticism a bulwark against the darkness. Some were mere thralls or factory workers pressed into service with little more than prayer and determination. But faith in the grim darkness of the far future was a weapon all its own. Ezekiel was determined to make the most out of the situation. Meager though it were, Reloria would still yield some spoils to console the Black Legion. The attack was launched immediately. The battle for Reloria became a savage, grinding slaughter. In the cathedrals where once rang solemn hymns,
Well, Space Marines are really more powerful.
of faith, bolter fire echoed from broken stained glass. The Black Legion advanced in a relentless time, their terminators crushing the faithful beneath iron-shod boots. Yet the defenders did not falter. Armed with relics and any manner of weaponry they could lay their hands on, the priests led their flock in suicidal charges, the scent of burning promethium mingling with the stench of scorched flesh. The steps of the planet's many basilicas became channel houses, their marble stairs slick with blood. Meanwhile, across the outer worlds of the sector, the tragedy of the Snake Bones was unfolding. As one of the only loyalist Space Marine chapters in this section of Imperial space, they had mobilized as chapter strength to deal with Abaddon's unexpected arrival. They had taken it upon themselves to fight those elements of the Death Guard that had accompanied the War Master. Unfortunately for the brave defenders of humanity, the loyalist Astartes were exposed to the Destroyer Plague, a virulent blight that corrupted even their sacred gene seed. Rot spread through their ranks like wildfire.
And Abaddon needs gene seed, but he corrupts it. Boy, that doesn't work out well for him in the things he needs.
Much to Nurgle's delight. Warriors, once clad in pristine armor, were now reduced to...
So that's the Chaos God Abaddon works for, is Nurgle.
...bloated, decaying husks. Catharis, their chapter master, watched in despair as his brothers became living corpses. Not even their transhuman bodies could withstand the agony brought upon by this warpish disease. In sickening emulation of Mortarian's own fall so many years ago, Catharis begged the Plague Father to spare his brothers. In that moment of darkness and weakness, Nurgle answered. Desperation became devotion, and the Snake Bones fell to chaos, renaming themselves the Plague Bones. The once noble and pious chapter was forever reduced to a repulsive mockery of its former self. But just as the Black Legion seemed poised to crush all resistance, a new horror descended. Abaddon's shipmasters voxed frantic warnings to their battle brothers down on terra firma. The astropathic choir and void stations of Reloria likewise warned their leadership. From the endless void of space, a vast armada emerged, bearing the emblems of Gork and Mork. The greenskins of warlord Murgor Undred.
How do orcs figure out how to build things when the best that they can speak is in gibberish? Very weird.
Descended without any semblance of order or discipline. Such was the way of the mighty orc. Their unexpected arrival upon Reloria was like a grox in a glass shop. Rocks plummeted from orbit, crashing into the blasted plains around the battlefields. From each smoking crater rose a tide of green-skinned barbarians, their bellows drowning out even the thunder of war. Gargants, towering war machines of twisted iron and scavenged scrap, lumbered across the landscape, their weapons vomiting fire and death. The orcs smashed into the Black Legion with all the subtlety of an avalanche. The followers of the Dark Gods had fought with cold contempt and disgust. The followers of the God Emperor with righteous zeal and self-sacrifice. The orcs, however, fought for the simple fun of it. In the midst of this spontaneous three-pronged war,
literally just what they do.
Mercy asked or given,
eat,
they
sleep,
were truly
crap,
in their element.
and reproduce.
Greenskins clambered over the twisted ruins, hacking at
Not that they
traitor
reproduce,
marines
they're
with
created
crude
from some
axes
weird fungi.
and roaring for more victims.
At least in this
the Black
universe.
Legion's warriors met them with bolter and chainblade, but for every orc they slew, 10 more took their place. The air was thick with the screams of the dying, the bellowed war cries of the orcs, and the chilling hymns of the ecclesiarchy's preachers, still crying out for divine intervention even as they burned. Abaddon's plans seemed in ruins. His fleet was scattered, his sorcerers broken, and his forces were now caught between the zealous fanatics of the ecclesiarchy and the endless green tide of the orcs. Yet, where most saw only chaos, Abaddon saw opportunity. He ordered his chaos sorcerers, who still retained their sanity, to capture as many orc psychers as they could. Unlike most other sentient races, the orcs' crude mastery of the warp was instinctual. Their unique psychic bond, known as the power of the Wa, was a force truly unlike any other. Though blunt and inelegant, no one in the galaxy could doubt its effectiveness. Abaddon had fought the orcs countless times before. Most in the galaxy saw them as mindless, barely sentient brutes, but Abaddon knew better. If given enough time and numbers, the Greenskins had a terrifying potential, thanks to their psychic connection. Ezekiel had seen it all 10,000 years before, at Ulanor. There, Horus Lupercal had slaughtered the Great Beast, one of the greatest war bosses the galaxy had ever seen. His orc horde had presented the greatest threat the Imperium had ever seen. Sophisticated and technologically advanced, these orcs had attained feats of engineering and warp mastery that would make the other races of the Milky Way galaxy green with envy. If Abaddon could tap into the secrets of the Greenskin Psychos, he might be able to use the power of the Wa to his advantage. Even as the Black Legion fought for their lives, Abaddon's forces dragged shrieking weird boys back to his ships.
Shrieking
There,
weird
the dark
boys.
rituals began. The Orc Psychers were bound in iron chains, etched with the same runes that had bound the demon. Whatever passed for the Greenskin souls were exposed to the raw tides of the Immaterium. Neverborn howled and raged, clawing at the Orc captives, their energies melding with the Xenos in a fusion of raw power and primal fury. Abaddon's twisted experimentations gave rise to grotesque horrors, Orc-demon hybrids, hulking abominations of muscle, claw, and warp energy. These monsters rampaged across the battlefields of Reloria, heedless of friend or foe, tearing through Imperial defenders, heretics, and Orcs alike. As Reloria burned and the Imperium's defenders lay shattered, Abaddon withdrew. His fleets clawed their way back to the Eye of Terror, carrying with them
He tried to
hundreds
take
of
some
captured
form.
weird boys and the dark knowledge of their power. Behind him, Reloria was left to the Orcs, its sacred temples reduced to smoking ruins, its peoples scattered and broken. The 11th Black Crusade had utterly failed in its immediate goals, making it by far the least successful of Abaddon's incursions. At the very least, the War Master could console himself with the fact that his abhorrent experiments had somewhat weakened the veil between real space and the warp. As for his newfound weapon, Abaddon never again employed such Orc-demon hybrids. Imperial scholars and sinologists remain puzzled as to why, given its effectiveness. The simplest explanation, however, seems to be the most likely. Unsurprisingly, the power of the Wa seems to have proven simply too volatile to tame. Compared to its savage potential, even shackling a demon of the god of change to travel
Is it like
the warp
wild magic?
is still a more reliable option.
Fireball drops
After
on
all,
you.
It is well known within the savants and leaders of this savage species that compared to any of the wonders and horrors of the 41st millennium, the Orcs is the best. More videos on the Warhammer 40k universe are on the way.
Necrons.
Moreover, we're planning to cover the battles of many other fantasy, sci-fi, and space opera universes, so make sure you are subscribed and have pressed the bell button to see it. Please consider liking, commenting, and sharing, it helps immensely. Our videos would be impossible without our kind patrons and YouTube channel members, whose ranks you can join via the links in the description to know our schedule, get early access to our videos, access our Discord, and much more. This is the Wizards and Warriors channel, and we will catch you on the next one.
All right, I'm gonna have to cut the stream a little bit short today. I am very tired. It looks like I need to take a nap. I'm gonna take that nap. All right, see you guys next time.
Brandon.